Waking up tired is not a physical problem. It is a cry for help from the soul. You go to bed at 11 p.m. and wake up at 7 a.m. No phone, no alcohol, nothing that disrupts your sleep. You follow all the advice from health experts online. Your body has enough time to rest. So why do you still wake up with a heavy weight in your chest? Why does 8 hours of sleep not bring recovery but feel like drowning silently? The answer is not physical. It is not lack of sleep. It is mental exhaustion, a depletion from within where your will, emotions, and true self are suffocated day by day. Fatigue doesn't come from doing too much, but from doing too little that matters. We often think fatigue results from overwork, staying up late, stress, not enough sleep. But there is another kind of fatigue. The fatigue from not living authentically, from days slipping by trapped in cycles of meaningless tasks. It is exhaustion not because you did too much, but because you did too little that truly makes you feel alive. When your soul is not nourished by what you love, what you believe in, what makes you feel real, even your dreams become burdensome. In sleep, your subconscious continues to reenact the silent battle between your true self and the role you have to play every day. You are not resting. You are merely disconnecting temporarily to prepare for the next performance. The moment you wake up, the feeling is not renewal, but reconfiguration. You don't wake up to live, but to perform, to smile at the right time, say the right things, do what is expected. Modern life has stolen the concept of rest and replaced it with just enough recovery to keep enduring. You don't sleep to regenerate life energy. You recharge just enough to wear the mask again without it slipping. We live like professional actors, memorizing scripts, capable of playing roles perfectly, smiling at the right moments, meeting all expectations, but no longer knowing what it means to truly live. From recovery to survival, a dangerous shift in life's purpose. The danger is this: when rest is no longer recovery but just a pause to endure, you are no longer living. You are merely existing. You don't wake up full of energy but wearing thick armor to protect yourself, to cope, to pretend you're okay. You don't wake up as yourself. You wake up to become a socially acceptable version, productive, resilient, positive, always ready. A collective crisis, not an individual failure. According to Gallup's 2023 report, 76% of American adults experience mental exhaustion at least once a week. This shows it is not a personal problem, but a collective crisis. Yet our first reaction is to blame ourselves. I lack discipline. Maybe I should journal. Perhaps I need more vitamins. We mistake this for a lifestyle problem, when the root lies in a conflict of values, living against our core beliefs and betraying our true nature daily. You don't have a time management problem. You lack meaning management. Your issue is not poor planning or time optimization. It lies in the meaning of your life. You are not exhausted because you work too much, but because you expend energy maintaining an image that isn't yours, the image of the perfect, strong, always positive person. The fatigue you feel is the consequence of constantly fighting yourself. You are not tired because you are weak. You are tired because every day you force yourself to maintain a role. Conclusion: sleep cannot heal the soul's loneliness. When you wake up tired, don't rush to reach for coffee or a new to-do list. Instead, ask an important question: who am I performing for? Because until you answer that question, until you stop living like an actor, no amount of sleep, no vacation can heal the exhaustion you are experiencing. Every morning you wake up tired is a warning signal, not from your body, but from your soul. It is a call to reconnect with yourself, to stop living like a machine, and start becoming human again. Authentic, valuable, and true. You are not tired because you are weak. You're tired because you've lived too long without being yourself. In modern society, we often blame ourselves when we feel tired. I'm not disciplined enough. Maybe I'm lazy. Or I should take magnesium, meditate, journal. We quickly seek personal fixes for a problem that is actually deep-rooted in society and culture. The truth is, you are not tired because you haven't tried hard enough. You are tired because every day you fight against yourself. You're not truly resting. You're recharging energy to keep playing a role. The harsh truth is most of us don't rest properly. Sleep, vacations, quiet evenings don't truly restore us. They only provide enough energy to keep participating in an endless performance. Work, social media, relationships, family expectations, and the role of "I'm fine." We don't wake up reborn. We wake up armored, an invisible but heavy protection that helps us smile on cue, nod in the right places, say programmed words. You don't wake up to live, you wake up to operate. Every day you put on the mask again and call it you. Have you ever felt like you're living someone else's life? That your actions, words, even thoughts aren't truly yours, but what others expect? This is the essence of living in a role. From childhood, we are taught to be good, obedient, successful, positive. Slowly, you learn to adjust yourself to fit a pre-written script so you don't disappoint anyone, so you are accepted, praised as good enough. Gradually, you forget who your true self is and where the role begins. Society has redefined rest, from recovery to endurance. We live in a system where rest is distorted into a tool for maintaining performance. You don't sleep to recover. You sleep to endure one more day. Your spirit isn't healed. It's only temporarily soothed to return to the cycle of productivity, submission, and efficiency. In this model, humans are no longer seen as living souls needing meaning, but as tools to be optimized. You're no longer a person, you're a performer. From physical fatigue to identity erosion. Carl Jung once said, "The greatest privilege in life is to become yourself." But what happens when every system around you encourages conformity over truth? When authenticity is punished and pretense rewarded? You start being torn apart between the true self screaming inside and the image you're required to project outside. This conflict doesn't just exhaust you, it makes you lose yourself. You no longer know what is real and what is fake. You don't know whether your feelings are truly yours or just the result of trying to please others. Your body is holding a score, and it responds with fatigue. The tiredness you feel every morning is not just stress symptoms. It is your body whispering that your soul is neglected. You feel back pain, chest tightness, difficulty being present in the moment. These physical symptoms don't come from work pressure. They come from no longer living authentically. Your body silently signals, "I can't live like this anymore." You're not tired because you're lazy. You're tired because you must maintain an image that's not you. We often think fatigue is weakness, but the truth is, you're exhausted not because you're weak, but because you're too strong trying to maintain an image, always cheerful, always positive, always enduring. You burn energy not to create, love, or live, but to keep the mask from falling. You fight daily to hide your wounds, pretend you're okay, avoid the question, who am I without this role? The system makes you tired, but blames you. We live in a world that tires you out, then convinces you it's your fault for not trying hard enough. A society that exhausts you with invisible demands for achievement, image, and perfection, then suggests green smoothies, yoga, and self-help books to fix problems it caused. The scariest part? We accept exhaustion as normal. We don't question root causes. Instead, we treat symptoms, ignoring the source of mental exhaustion. Conclusion. Fatigue is a signal, not your system's fault, but an internal warning. If you often wake deeply tired, despite enough sleep, don't rush for physical fixes. Stop and ask, what have I lost in myself? Am I living the life I choose? Who am I trying to please every day? As long as you live away from your true self, no sleep can heal you. Every tired morning is a wake-up call. It's time to stop and return to yourself.
You are not designed to live like this. Your fatigue is a form of resistance.
When you wake, feeling like you just fought a spiritual battle, it's no coincidence. You're not simply tired from a long day or lack of sleep. You wake as if forced back into a role you didn't choose, a pace you don't control, and expectations that aren't yours. The scariest part? You've gotten used to it. This is not just fatigue. It is an existential conflict. And you're not alone. Nietzsche warned us of this over a century ago. You're not tired because you're fake. You're tired because you no longer know what's real. You're not a fake person. You've just lived a role for so long that the line between real and pretend has blurred. You always smile at the right time, say the right things, do what's expected. And you're so good at it, you've forgotten what it was like to be different. You no longer know what you truly believe. You're unclear about what you genuinely want. You're not even sure whether your feelings are real or just social reflexes. And that inner disorientation, that loss of self, is the true source of your exhaustion. This isn't just stress, it's a fracturing of the soul. Carl Jung called this state soul fragmentation, when a person loses connection with the deepest, truest part of themselves. You're no longer living as a soul experiencing life, but as a programmed function, designed to run smoothly in society. You work, you communicate, you even love, but all on autopilot. Not through full presence, but through a series of learned reactions shaped by culture, media, education, and expectations. You live like a shell, efficient, polished, but empty. And that fatigue you feel, it's not physical, it's existential. Society measures your worth by productivity, and you've started to see yourself that way too. We live in a world where human value is equated with productivity, performance, and achievement. You're no longer asked, "Who are you?" but "What do you do? What do you have? What have you accomplished?" And so you begin to measure yourself by external standards, not internal truths. You learn to prioritize results over emotions. You choose efficiency over authenticity. You begin to sacrifice time, passion, even your soul, as long as you meet expectations. But the most dangerous part? You start to believe that you are all of those things. That you are your job title, your reputation, your online image, the role others recognize. And the more you believe in those roles, the more you lose your real self. You've lost your shadow, and with it, your soul. Jung believed, the greatest tragedy of modern man is the loss of the shadow, and with it, the soul. The shadow is Jung's term for the raw, authentic, rejected parts of ourselves, the emotions, desires, memories, pains, and vulnerabilities buried in the subconscious. It's the real human inside us, but one society doesn't accept.
When we strive to be good, successful, positive, reasonable, we bury the shadow deeper and deeper. The result? We become one-dimensional people, neat on the outside, but crumbling within. You're living in a mold and calling it me. As we're socialized, we gradually create a perfect role, the competent one, the stable one, the considerate one, the one who always knows what to say, do, and think. But the more refined the role, the further we drift from ourselves. Because you weren't born to be society's ideal version. You were born to be real. And if you keep denying the shadow and sacrificing your identity for the role, your soul will eventually start to collapse. Fatigue isn't just a feeling, it's evidence you're living the wrong life. Pause and look at your exhaustion. It's not because you haven't mastered time management, not because you need a better routine, not because of poor sleep or lack of motivation. It's because you've lived too long out of alignment with your true self. You're not drained because of overactivity. You're drained because of the effort it takes to keep the mask from falling. What's been abandoned isn't your productivity, it's your soul. Conclusion: no system can define you unless you let it. If you wake up each day feeling depleted, even when there's nothing wrong, ask yourself, who am I when I don't need to please anyone? What part of me is being imprisoned? Whose life am I serving? Is there a part of me screaming to live, but I keep ignoring it? Because sometimes exhaustion isn't weakness. It's the soul's way of saying, I won't live this lie anymore. This isn't your fault. It's your chance to start living authentically. You're not tired because you're weak. You're tired because you've been programmed to obey. We live in a society where exhaustion is no longer a red flag, but a badge of honor. The more depleted you are, the more you're praised for being hardworking, reliable, responsible. But have you ever asked, who benefits when you're always exhausted? Who profits when you say yes to everything while your soul is screaming no? And why is it that the more you conform to society's expectations, the more you feel like you're losing yourself? Nietzsche saw this trap over a century ago. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher famous for challenging traditional morality, once warned, morality is not just about what is right, it's a tool of power. According to him, morality, which we treat as sacred and universal, is often the product of a sophisticated training system, a system built to domesticate people, teaching them to impose limits on themselves and call it maturity. The terrifying truth: morality is a weapon to tame the strong. Nietzsche didn't say morality is evil. He said, When morality is manipulated by power, it stops helping people grow and becomes a tool of control. It creates a society where personal sacrifice is celebrated, and the courage to live authentically is condemned. Since childhood, you've been taught sacrifice is noble, pushing through exhaustion is praiseworthy, saying no is selfish, working to the point of collapse shows dedication. But who does all this really serve? Are you truly living the right life, or just playing your part in a system designed to drain you without resistance? Society has taught you that exhaustion equals virtue. Think about it. When you're tired but keep going, you're praised as, quote, resilient. When you collapse from overload, you're called, quote, selfless. But when you begin questioning this lifestyle, you're labeled, quote, negative, quote, ungrateful, quote, or self-centered. These aren't compliments, they're programming. You've been trained to deny your limits, suppress your inner voice, and base your worth on how much you can endure. But endure for what? And for whom? Nietzsche's question is sharp and clear. Good, but good for whom? You're praised when you sacrifice yourself for work. But who's gaining from that sacrifice? You're seen as virtuous when you please others. But who's really being served? In a world where control hides behind morality, Nietzsche said, quote, the strong are no longer punished with chains, quote, but with guilt for daring to be real. You've been programmed to obey, and you call it right. The modern system, from education and media to corporate culture, doesn't need to force you. It teaches you to force yourself. You don't need a supervisor. You supervise yourself. You don't need punishment. You guilt yourself for resting, for saying no, for being different. Obedience is no longer an external demand. It's become an internal mechanism, unconsciously accepted as truth. And the cruelest part? You begin to take pride in your suffering. You wear your exhaustion like a medal. Nietzsche isn't telling you to rest. He's telling you to stop worshiping burnout. He's not telling you to be selfish. He's telling you, quote, don't let morality be twisted into psychological chains. You weren't born to sacrifice your soul to a system you didn't choose. You're not obligated to obey moral codes designed to make you too scared to resist. Your exhaustion is not a flaw. It's a sign that your life has lost direction. Don't use caffeine to cover it up. Don't use positive thinking to dodge the pain. Face the real question. Am I living true to my soul, or just playing a role that earns applause? Is not a virtue obedience, it's the result of invisible programming. You weren't born to just be on time, on task, on target. You weren't born.
If you're so exhausted that you feel nothing, dream of nothing, desire nothing, then maybe you're living like a machine. And that deep fatigue isn't just a passing state. It's the soul's silent rebellion. Nietzsche doesn't want you to take a vacation. He wants you to wake up. Don't believe that burnout is a badge of success. Don't quietly accept a life you never chose. Look at your exhaustion and ask, who benefits from my silence? Who gains when I keep grinding without asking why? Who taught me that living true is selfish, but enduring pain is noble? Remember, you're not tired because you're weak. You're tired because you've lived too long as a tool in someone else's machine. And once you understand that, your exhaustion becomes the beginning of freedom. We're taught that being busy is good, and having no free time proves your life has value. But have you noticed that this very busyness robs you of the space to ask where you're heading and why? You're answering emails at 10 p.m., checking work messages on Sunday morning, reading company texts during family dinner, waking up early with the mindset of keeping up with everyone else. You no longer have room to think, feel, or redefine yourself. And when your mind is entirely occupied by tasks, deadlines, and checklists, where's the space for reflection or awakening? When did exhaustion become a badge of honor? The system has redefined life values. It turned depletion into a symbol of success. If you work until collapse, you're a warrior. If you don't complain despite burning out, you're resilient. If you reply to emails at midnight, you're a model employee. Endurance is no longer a danger, it's a personal brand. And so,
you don't just feel tired, you begin to take pride in it. You wear exhaustion like a medal, while it actually signals you're losing yourself. Media and social platforms, the machinery of dependence. You believe you're being inspired by slogans like no pain, no gain, grind now, shine later, sleep is for the weak. But they aren't motivation, they're programming. These catchphrases teach you that fatigue is necessary, lack of sleep is virtuous, and rest is weakness. Social media turns exhaustion into fashion. You see others flaunting productivity, packed schedules, hustle 24/7 lifestyles, and wonder, am I doing enough? You don't need to do more. You need to break free. The goal isn't to do less, but to live differently. You don't have to quit your job, move cities, or vanish. But you must realize, you weren't born to endure nonstop. You aren't a machine, you're human. True living can't happen when your soul is chained to someone else's schedule. We exploit ourselves and call it freedom. Philosopher Byung-Chul Han, Korean-German, captured it perfectly. We are no longer exploited by others. We exploit ourselves and call that freedom.
You don't need someone bossing you. You control your productivity. Penalize yourself for resting. Feel guilty for unmet expectations. This isn't freedom. It's the most subtle form of slavery. Self-imposed slavery. You're not living. You're merely surviving to Monday. In this cycle, the only goal becomes make it to the weekend. You no longer dream, question, or look inward. You shrink your world to fit deadlines. And that's exactly what the system wants. For you not to ask the dangerous questions like, who am I really living for? What's my true purpose? Why do I feel disconnected from myself? Conclusion. If you're always exhausted, it's not you, it's the system. Your fatigue isn't your fault. It's intentional. The system doesn't want you to rebel. It wants you busy and drained, so you can't think deeply. So, if you're so tired that you can't think, you have no hope, and you've lost yourself, don't blame yourself. This isn't weakness. It's proof you're still alive. That part of you is fighting to break free from the conditioning. The only question now is, do you dare to listen?